Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today as always. It's a cloudy day in St. Louis, Missouri today. Well, I actually don't live in St. Louis, but that's the closest big city near my small town of Troy, Missouri. So we are continuing today in dealing with friends, our family who drag you down and try to hold you back. The 7-step process. We are on number 3. Smash that like button and subscribe. Excuse me. So let's go. Hope you're doing good today. The day has just started here, so it's your choice. You can have whatever kind of day you desire. It's all in your perception, which is under your control. Okay, we'll go. Step 3. Take the time to consider the positives your friend brings into your life. It's only fair to think about how much they mean to you and all the pleasure and support they offer aside from the recent difficulties. Dismissing this can cause you to undervalue them in a state of anger, and you don't want to make a huge decision like this in haste. The unfortunate truth is that you may realize at this point that any value they did bring to your life has long since disappeared. Sometimes that's just the way life goes. Just as you're changing for the better, sometimes people change for the worse. Excuse me. They may not be changing for the worse, but when you grow or you change for the better, they may remain the same, or they don't grow in the same rate that you do, or maybe they have a different path to go down for their spiritual or metaphysical growth, whichever term you choose to use. Not everyone is walking the same path, and thank God for that, because how would it be if everyone was the same, if everyone were the same? That would be somewhat boring, wouldn't it? No chance for growth. If everybody did the same things, if everybody walked the same path, there would be no conflict. And without conflict, without resistance, it's hard to learn and grow. The times we learn the most is when we take the bitter pill of suffering. Then we look for answers. A lot of us do anyway. I've found that the time that I've grown the most in my life was when I was going through a difficult time, which I did not enjoy at all. But in retrospect, looking back, it brought me to a point where I wanted to be. And without the suffering and the pain of the emotions, the struggle, I would not be doing this today. And I love this. So here we go. Whatever the reason, if a person brings nothing of value to your life other than negativity, it might be time to let them go. Well, I would say yes, it's time to let them go if they're only bringing negativity into your life. Or at least limit your time with them greatly. Number 4, understand the negatives. After going through the positive benefits this person brings into your life, it's time to get serious about the negatives. How detrimental is your friend's behavior and attitude towards your own life and push for self-actualization? It is going to really affect your progress, or is it going to really affect your progress? Or is it likely to be just a temporary growing pain that they'll get used to, just like they've always gotten used to the changes life brings? This step is a time to get serious about how serious a problem this really is. Don't underestimate the value of your own self-esteem or the ability of others to cut the drive right out of you with a simple comment, though. On a similar vein, if you're trying to quit a destructive habit like drinking or doing drugs, you should know that old friends who still do those things and can't seem to step away from their demons are a particularly big risk to you. A simple comment. I've actually listened to speakers at times where they said something in contrast to what I believed, and that even was somewhat I won't say detrimental, but disturbing. Now, that doesn't mean that what they said was true or what I believe is true. What I believe could be true for me because I believe that. And we tend to find evidence to support our beliefs. And what he believes could be true for him, and he finds evidence to support his beliefs. In a certain way, we all get to be right because we all search for and only see evidence that align with our beliefs. Some people see things as terrible, while someone else may see it as wonderful. Two people ride a roller coaster ride. One throws up, gets sick, gets off. The most terrible experience they've ever had. They're never getting on there again. The other person sitting right beside them had so much fun, they're already standing in line again to ride the roller coaster. Same experience, different perception, different take on the roller coaster ride. So it's the perception is what's important, how you perceive things. And that's something you can change, as I have said earlier in other videos. Your perception can be changed, your point of view, how you see things, how you take things, how you observe things, what it means to you. Nothing has any meaning in of itself except the meaning you ascribe to it. Think about that. The meaning you ascribe to it. Okay. And yes, if you are trying to quit drinking or doing drugs, you definitely want to stay away from the old playmates and playpens. Now, they may even come around if you stay away from them to try to pull you back into that. But here's what will happen. If you quit drinking and doing drugs and start out on a different path and start doing some inner work and changing inside, eventually they won't want to be around you because they won't feel comfortable with you. And you have nothing in common with them if you're quitting drinking and doing drugs. And many times they will try to pull you back. I have experienced that because I haven't drank or did drugs since 1991. Or no, 92. I haven't drank since 91. But yes, but eventually those people will fall away. I don't have anybody that comes around me that drinks or does drugs except the people that have quit. Now, I'll be around those types of people, but not anybody who's currently using unless they're trying to stop and I'm helping them. Okay. Seek balance. Let me see. Seek balance. Number 5. Okay. Before completely cutting people out of your life and burning the bridges, make sure you're not thinking that you're better than they are, so you're going to cut them out, or that you can cut them out and excel just because you cut them out. Unless you have a change of consciousness inside, if you cut someone out as a superficial exercise or something you're doing, you will just gain another friend exactly like them from somewhere else until you change within. Okay, before completely cutting people out of your life and burning the bridges, contemplate how you can achieve a more balanced approach first. We have all types of people in our lives that we may not get along with 100% of the time. Bosses and coworkers, brothers and sisters, in-laws, even our own parents. Yet we usually find ways to still live with, work with, and even love these people. I used to go out and see my mom every day before she passed. The last 4 years of her life, after my father passed, I was out there every day, several times a day, helping her take care of him. My mother used to just annoy the hell out of me. But really what it was I saw in her, she reflected back to me the things I didn't like about myself. I was very much like my mother, more so like her than my father. So if you have someone in your life, a family member, that just annoys the hell out of you, there's a very good chance that you do the very things that they do, but you can't see it. You can see it in them, but you can't see it in yourself. So look within yourself, and you'll find out when you discover that you really are not annoyed with this other person, but it's yourself, they may miraculously change. Because if you work on those characteristics in yourself that you see in them that are reflected back to you, and you eliminate that, miraculously, they change. They become different. Because they were just there to show you to yourself so you could change those things about you that you don't like. It's very difficult for us to see ourselves as we really are. But we can see ourselves in other people. But you must take the word blame out of your vocabulary. And remember that anytime someone annoys you, or for the positive side of that, if you admire something in somebody, you have these capabilities or these characteristics in yourself. So take advantage of that. The world is a mirror reflecting back to you who and what you are. Okay. We have all types of people in our lives that we may not get along with 100% of the time. Okay, I read that. Considering that, is it really necessary to completely throw out a friendship out the door, or can you just redefine it somehow? Maybe you just won't be the type of friends who spend a great deal of time together anymore. It doesn't mean you can't still stay in touch. You should always have complete control over how involved someone is in your life. And there's nothing wrong with holding someone at more of a distance while still staying in touch, as long as you're not just doing it to play games. Also, sometimes a pause can be enough to spark needed changes. After some time apart, they may be more likely to accept the new you, just happy to still have you in their lives. In fact, in the honeymoon period that old friendships always seem to go through upon reuniting, they may very well come to the conscious realization that even though you've changed, the new you is just a happier version of the old you. On top of that, sometimes you can initiate changes simply by altering the way you act towards the person, especially if you conclude that you have indeed been part of the problem. You're always part of the problem. But the good side of that is you're always part of the solution. Everything originates from within you. If you have a neighbor that's a real pain in the butt, and you move away from that neighbor, I guarantee you'll run into something similar in your new neighborhood, or someone similar. If you conclude that you have been indeed part of the problem, as I've said, opening a dialogue or even directly confront their behavior, these are all worthy options. It just depends on the situation. Anything you fight outside of yourself is really fighting your own self, because it originated from within you. Try changing your attitude toward that person first. And I don't mean by just being friendly on the outside. Start looking for the good in that person. Start focusing on what you like about that person. There's something there, but you have to look for it. Focus on that. Change your opinion about him. Change your attitude towards that person, and watch them change miraculously. They will either change or they will disappear from your life, and you won't have to do anything except change your inner conversations you have with this person. If you are with a coworker or a boss and you don't get along with him, think about what you're thinking about and think about your inner conversations. You will find that you're having arguments with this person in your head many times a day, and this person picks up on that. Change those things first and see if he or she doesn't change miraculously in front of your very eyes. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for joining me. I hope this has been of value to you. Smash that like button, share this with a friend, and I will talk to you tomorrow.